Everybody knows Peter Pan. Lovable character, little mischief, lost boy, has a feather in his cap, flies around, has a friend that's a fairy, who trips balls on pixie dust. Peter's in the other room choking out a kid. You know, Peter Pan. We all love him. No, something must have been lost in translation over the years because I just saw Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare and this isn't quite the fancy-free adventure I remember. Let's review whatever this thing was. From the brilliant mind behind Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, you will never hear another person say that sentence, comes his directorial debut into the twisted childhood universe, rebranded from the previous Pooniverse. And they say humans are getting dumber. Before I take your hand and whisk you away on an adventure through Neverland, if you wouldn't mind revealing your hook and going right through my hand into the subscribe button, I would appreciate it. That way you won't miss a single video from me, especially if you hit that notification bell. I point there. I don't actually know where the bell's at anymore, but subscribe and notify. That's the thing. All right, let's talk about this film. As I sat in the theater watching this hour-and-a-half film with about 5 other questionable-looking individuals, I thought to myself, you know, Adam, I'm actually really happy for director Scott Chambers, who's one of the overseers of this entire shit show, because he's making his dreams a reality. While I'm sitting in this cold-ass theater, freezing my dick off with a bunch of asshats, watching something that's the equivalent of a dog taking a shit in my cereal as I'm trying to eat. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare and this entire Pooniverse situation is clearly not for me. And it's not because of the low budget and effects, all right? And in fact, Scott does a good job for what he clearly doesn't have. There is some suspense in the movie. Shots are framed up well. The shaky cam isn't overdone. Some of the visuals are haunting and they do work, but then you have a whole lot of other stuff that doesn't. Again, they're doing this on the cheap because we're talking about a real niche market here. If you liked Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and if you loved Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, why? You, I don't think, have any reason to watch me talk about this because we are clearly not going to see eye to eye on things. Now, to Peter Pan's credit, I think that this film is better done than those previous 2 entries. Doesn't necessarily mean it's better or more entertaining. It's just, I think, the best looking of the 3. There are a bunch of editing issues for sure. Things don't line up in the timeline. We jump all over the place from day to night instantaneously. And the character decisions in the last 45 minutes or so, oh my God. No one tries to check a door. No one ever tries to check a front door when escaping a home. It's absolutely insane. I'm gonna refrain from spoilers, although I don't know why. If this video does okay, maybe I'll do a spoiler video to follow. So make sure to subscribe if you want to hear more about the Pooniverse to come. But let's break down the story. What do we have to work with? We have a film that's nothing like Peter Pan. Instead, we have Martin Porlock playing 2 different versions of Peter at any given time. He has this loving, carefree Peter that's gonna be a poor ripoff of Pennywise from the It movies. And he's gonna have his more serious, stern version that's essentially just Heath Ledger's Joker. But obviously, not. Complete with licking the sides of his mouth. You wanna go to Neverland? You wanna go to Neverland? Huh? It's okay, Neverland's a fun place. It's fun, everybody floats in Neverland. That's basically what he's doing. In fact, there is a scene very early on to set the stage where he peekaboos up from under the floorboards, only his eyes really being pronounced. It is a straight up ripoff of the sewer scene from the first It movie, complete with a conversation with the boy trying to pull him in. Oh, and Peter is also part of a traveling circus. Where does that sound familiar? Oh, Pennywise, that's right. You could argue this is intentional. It's an homage to the character. I mean, he has red balloons at one point. So what? How about not do that and create your own character? Because all I see is a budget version. And that's too bad because the actors clearly put in the work in. And everyone in this movie is actually doing a fine job with their roles. The problem is I fundamentally disagree with the approach they're taking. You see, when Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey was announced, there was a lot of chuckles, there was some grins, there was some excitement, like, wow, we are really gonna have fun with this. And then they did not have any fun with it. They treated it very serious. Well, then the sequel gets announced because the first one made money, and people thought, all right, now they can finally let loose and have some fun. They had no fun. And in fact, they doubled down on the horror elements. And so Peter Pan takes it and goes even further. There are zero jokes in this. There's no observational humor. There's no memes. There's no meta commentary. It is straight up a schlocky horror film with a few scenes that are a bit Terrifier in nature with some of the violent kills. But if I point to Terrifier, we at least have a unique character and a premise that's fun. And it is funny. Like, there's a lot of humorous parts in this movie, which makes Art the Clown and the Terrifier series far more memorable. If you don't care about the story and anything, and you just really love watching people get murdered, there's some decent kills in this. Early on, we get a pretty brutal one. And then there's a good lull. There's a good lull in the middle of the movie where not a lot happens. They're just building up this stupid lore and whatnot. And then the final, like I said, 45 minutes is essentially just a haunted house running from room to room. And none of the characters can ever seem to be in the same room at the same time. So you have siblings, for instance. They're in this house. They're trying to get out. So they split up constantly. Never the two shall intertwine. And neither ever tries a fucking front door. They're always going back and forth like a Scooby-Doo show through the same four doors. As far as tie-ins to the stories, the animated Disney classic, it's so loose and herky-jerky, it's completely irrelevant. Like, there's a TV playing black and white footage of crocodile attacks. There's your reference. The Island of the Lost Boys is only told through storybook photos that look like they were done in an afternoon. If you're looking for jump scares, this one does have a good chunk, and they worked pretty well. The audience I was with, granted, I'm not sure they were the sharpest bunch. They were jumping quite a bit during the movie, and it got me a couple times too. I was like, oh God, I'm one of them. I'm part of this. I'm part of the Poohverse! Next week, I'll be doing a review in a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey t-shirt. I'm just all in. Oh, God. Oh, God. So the overall plot is very basic. Peter is a disturbed individual. He's kidnapping young boys so he can bring them to Neverland, which means just killing them. One of the kids that's taken is Michael. And so for the majority of the film, he's gonna be struggling to survive in this haunted house while his sister Wendy is hoping to get to him. But she's gonna face a lot of obstacles on the way, the primary one being not having a charged phone. You would think if your brother went missing, you would make sure that bad boy's plugged in and charged. But what do you do? No, so she's gonna really have a hard time making it a mission to find a plug for her phone. I shit you not. There's a plot point where she's... It's a plot point where she breaks into the house just to find an outlet for her phone. It's so stupid. Nobody tries leaving a front door. This house consists of like 4 rooms and a hallway. There are a couple car scenes. They're all clearly done in the same green screen thing. And what they did is they just projected over the top of the car this like fast moving effect of trees and stuff going by to give the illusion that it's the glare off the window. So, driving and then just stuff whipping by in the foreground. It's hilarious because the speed this thing is moving at looks to be about 60 miles per hour. That's how fast they're driving. And the reason that's funny is because right away when the movie starts, like 15 minutes in, Michael says to his sister he wants to bike to school. Well, they get in the car, they drive to the school and have a fucking full conversation while going 60 miles an hour for a long ass stretch of time. There's no way Michael's getting to school in less than an hour on bike. And also some of the shots they show of the road and the area, there's nowhere to even bike. There's no sidewalks, there's no shoulders. It's just straight up a 2-lane road and woods. As far as the kills themselves, I mentioned there is a bit of that Terrifier flavor, and I mean it. There's some brutal stuff in here. Glass getting pulled out of necks, arms being broken and then completely ripped off. It's pretty gross, but I'm so desensitized by it. And the fact that they're doing a Peter Pan thing, you would hope, but we know better now 3 movies in, that they would play off some of the characters' abilities. Like maybe he could fly and just drop someone from the sky. Or maybe he takes a kid to Neverland and throws him into a croc's mouth. Just things like that that could elevate the material, but instead it's another bare bones horror film with a popular name attached to it. This movie is an hour and a half long. It is rated R, of course, and it's not very good. And it feels like it had enough story for about 35 to 40 minutes because, like I said, the final third of this film is all just running around this house and it's just boring. But how does it tie into Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? How are we gonna bring these characters together? Does Thumper come out of the woods with an eye patch on like Nick Fury, smoking a cigar going, "It's time to assemble the childhood classic characters"? The answer is I don't know. I didn't stick around once those credits started to hit. Maybe there's a post-credit scene. I couldn't tell you. But I can tell you this, the Twisted Childhood universe is so far 0 for 3 for me. Can't wait for Bambi. All right, let me know your thoughts if you check this out early because you're a fan of this crap, or if you are gonna avoid this like the plague, which is probably the smart thing to do. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't. I post tons of content every day, always focusing on movies. Would love to have you stick around. And now I'm off to take to the skies to review the next shitburger of a film. Thanks again for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it if you checked out patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. That's where fans of my channel go to help support it. There are different tiers with different offerings, exclusives every month. We got multiple movie reviews. There's a vlog monthly, and these fine people get a shout out because they're at the upper tier level. Look at these gorgeous folks. They have really gone above and beyond to help support me in the channel, and I appreciate them. And even if you don't want to plop down $1 a month, you can just sign up for Patreon for free and become a member at no charge, just to see what's showing up at least and give you a better sense of it all. Appreciate your time. Thanks.